Hi, welcome or welcome back. This is the New Beer Review where we talk about books and everything bookish. Today I come to you with my fall annotation project. So recently I put out a video and I mentioned my annotation projects. And it's ironic that I said that because I'm always annotating a book. Rather, this is a year-round thing for me. If I find something that I want to, get into the history and the research, I'm definitely annotated. So let's get into the annotation. What is annotating? Annotating is a series of, going through books that you read, whether it's a research paper, whether it's a book, anything that you want to highlight and copy, say, for instance, quotes, statistics, any information. In that annotation project, the goal of annotating for me, I'm not going to say for most, for some people, is to remember lines that they read in a book, right? Something that was interesting, a fact that they want to remember, something that they probably want to research. And those are the basis of annotating books sometimes. Sometimes it's just the beauty of the writing that catches your imagination when you're reading. And so you highlight it and you use that quote for memory and to describe the book and how it made you feel. So, in that sense, I do annotate lines and quotes that I do fall in love with because words have a way of communicating to the soul. And so, with that, not all annotating projects are the same, or even annotating the book is the same. So, to make it less intimidating, I thought I would share with you how I annotate some of my books. So let's get into the first one. So this time of the year, I normally do not annotate heavy because this is like beginning of the fall, and I really like to get into a lot of my cozy reads. So I'm really not trying to do research and annotate anything unless it's deemed necessary. However, this year I'm going to pivot a little from that because I'm on this continuous journey of, like annotating my books that I either read or that has caught my attention for a certain cause. So the books that I'm annotating now are The Half That Has Never Been Told, and I think I shared this with you all already. And two new ones that I'm annotating. I'm also annotating a book titled The Black Tax, and I'm halfway through that one. Pretty good, you guys. And so I have two more that I have added to that annotation project. One is Moby Dick, which is a classic, right? And that one right there is just to, I don't know. I see the movie Moby Dick. I've listened to the audiobook of Moby Dick, but I really want to get into the language and the history and the psychology of the sailor Ahab. So I will be annotating that book. Also, Combi, the Kombachi River Raid. I can never say that right, you guys. So we're gonna use Combi for short. I recently started reading this book, and I actually, when I started reading it, I did start annotating it already. So there are a lot of highlights, throughout the beginning of the book. Interestingly enough, this book right here has a timeline in the beginning. So I love timelines, especially when you're reading history, because you always go back. I can always go back and research those specific events. And so that's what I plan on doing. And this one right here actually came in as a surprise because I wasn't planning on annotating Combi. I was just going to read it, but here we are a few days later. So I'll be annotating that. So what do I use when I'm annotating? I use like little index cards. I don't have one with me right now, but I use index cards. I definitely use sticky notes. Sticky notes is 90% of my annotation. So I use different sticky notes, different, at different um, periods of annotating. I also from time to time use like the tabs that you put out the book. I don't use them as frequently because I don't like a lot of things sticking out my book. I just rather write it in a notebook, which I do have with me right now. So I have been keeping my notes in just in a trusted notebook, and I've been annotating several different books in this one. And I'm able to do that because I give each book at least 5 to 10 pages, depending on what I'm annotating. Like if I'm annotating just for quotes, I would probably give it 5 pages. If I'm annotating for research, and if I'm annotating, for memory, I would definitely use 10 pages. So I always start off with 10 pages for each book. So that's how I'm able to determine how many pages I need for annotation. Now, if I need more than 10 pages, I'm always able to go to another section of the book and start, another collection of notes for the same book. I don't get, really stuck on, having every book, all the pages collected together, as long as it's organized. And that's where a table of contents come in. In the table of contents, all of that information will be in the table of contents. So this fall, I want to invite you to annotate, at least one book with me. Find a book that you've always wanted to read, or that you have read and you love, the writing of it. And annotate that book, get into, collecting memorable quotes from the book. Get into, learning about that era that the author is writing about. If you're reading historical fiction, right, or anything that has any type of history towards it, get into the research of the author, because definitely when you understand the author, you understand their writing. And so understanding their writing just makes you a fan of their future work. I like to get into, the background of my authors, and, get an idea, like, what were they writing? Like, what was Herman Melville writing when he wrote, what was he thinking when he wrote Moby Dick's? Well, there are articles about the author, and asking him, like, what was his inspiration. So there's always a story that leads to the story, and it leads to great experiences in learning and in teaching other people. And also, I find when I get into my annotation, and because I like to read a lot of historical books, I find that it makes me more compassionate towards people's situation, because we all are, we do group think, when it comes to certain things. But, it takes a person who is bold enough to say, you know what, I see that person is troubled. I don't agree with, what they said or what they did. But then you get into their background, and then we know how people evolve to the people that they are when they commit even crimes, or say for instance a person who goes on to do great things. So getting into somebody's background and understanding, the methodology and the environment around that is a lot, is very helpful. And it really gears us towards, learning more about the subject or the book that we're annotating. So, not to ramble on, I just wanted to drop in and share with you all, what am I annotating and why am I annotating? And I wanted you to challenge yourself and annotate a book this fall. And if you annotate a book, let me know, what did you decide to annotate, and what inspired you to annotate or even read the subject that you're reading, and share with the community. So until then, that is my bookish chat for now. Until later, you guys. Take it easy. Bye bye.